Did anybody else happen to catch the replay of that Derrick Henry stiff arm against Josh Norman either last year or a couple years ago? I don't normally laugh at the demise of world-class athletes, and I think Josh Norman is one of the greatest cornerbacks of all time, but go look at it. Go on YouTube and just type it in. It's not fair and it shouldn't be funny. I think one of the funnier things that happened is if you get the shot from across the field where Derrick Henry's running to his left, you see one of his teammates who's on the defense and he just flips out. It is one of the most tragically hilarious things that I had ever seen, and what a game. I truly hope you guys enjoyed that game. As someone who does not watch games, to be able to set time aside, I got a 9-month-old son, and actually get to sit down and watch a really good game that was super fun. I love it. It puts me in such a good mood. I love it when the sports gods shine their bright lights on you and they actually reward you for being what I like to consider what a sports fan should be. I have no allegiances, and yes, you heard me right. I do not watch any games. I know that might sound very weird that someone who tries to pick winners and has been doing this now for years, that I don't watch sports. I'll watch the NBA more than I'll watch anything else. But why would I want to? If I'm on an over under, that's a whole other thing. If I'm on the under of a game, I'm anticipating it being a shit show. I'm anticipating it not being very entertaining. If I have the over, then I'll probably want to watch it, and then it's just so much more of a disappointment if I don't hit the over, because that means the game wasn't fun. I had the over last night, and it was so much fun to watch those two teams play, because the fact that Tennessee, that same team, lost to the Jets, as I've said before, it's not the National Football League. It's not for long. And that's why it is so hard. And that's why every single year the casinos, they rake it in so much money when it comes to the NFL, because it is so hard to pick. Ask any expert these days and they'll say that this has been one of the hardest years. But the fact that we had that paired with the start of the NBA season tonight, it is such a good Tuesday. Welcome to the Social Spreader on a Tuesday. I figured in honor of the NBA season starting, I had to wear the GOATs. Yeah, that's right. I said it. The best point guard of all time. And again, shout out to my clothery. Shout out to the company that made this t-shirt. Homage, whichever way that you say it. Hopefully to become a sponsor. This would be a commercial technically. But obviously I'm already purchasing your stuff, so I guess that kind of defeats the purpose. But these NBA Jam shirts are just the bomb. You really gotta like the team. You really gotta like the players. But when it became available for Steph and Clay, because they also have Steph and Durant, but the fact that they were the best team of all time before Durant showed up, I always wanted to make sure that I had these two guys. A little bit of a story, as you know, I'm a bit of an historian. And from 2012 to 2016, when Steph, Clay, Draymond, and Andrew Bogut, when those four guys started from 2012 to 2016, the Golden State Warriors were 107-14. You heard it right. 107-14. And of those 107 games, they covered 94 of them. It was the most ridiculous run that we had ever seen. And people will always want to have the argument that Jordan and Pippen, which is really where the talent on that team kind of kind of ends, that team is the greatest team of all time. I would like to argue that this team before Durant was the greatest team of all time because when it came to chemistry, when it came to doing what they do best and being who they were, there was no other team in the history of the league that was this good. If you want to tell me that, the likes of Ron Harper, Randy Brown, John Paxson, Steve Kerr, because obviously when we do have this discussion, Jordan fans kind of clump everybody into the time that he was there, and rightfully so. Until LeBron, he was the greatest player of all time, the greatest thing that we had ever seen. And as we saw on that 10-part that 10-part documentary, he was playing against hungover drug addicts. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty easy to be good when you're up against that. But this is one of the I kind of tend to not be the kind of sports fan that likes to engage in those talks, but the one that I will always talk about is the greatest NBA team of all time, and this is them. He is the most, I think he's the greatest shooter of all time, and yet he's still the most underrated player of all time. He's 6'9", 225. He's a middle linebacker, an outside linebacker, and he's a two guard that can play against anybody. He's a lockdown defender and the best shooter of all time. So if you don't see the greatness of this team, I actually kind of feel sorry for you. But what we're going to do today on this Tuesday, the start of the season, is I want to talk about the futures market. And I want to talk about how it is exactly the same thing as life insurance. So, a little bit of information. I used to work, I've worked for a number of large companies. I once worked for the largest stock mutual funds brokerage, if you will. They're called AXA. And they're also one of the largest, if not the largest, life insurer in the world. And one of the things that I learned was upwards of about 98% of all life insurance policies don't pay out. Let that sink in. So people are paying premiums every month into these life insurance policies because the majority of them are term. I'd say anywhere between 75 to 80% of all life insurance policies that are issued by major insurers are term, which means they're a 10-year term, 20-year term, 30-year term, where someone protects their life either for their income or for their family, whichever reasons that it is. There's a myriad of them. They protect their net worth within that amount of time. And a lot of them outlive it. And so when you think of a company that is receiving money simply to give someone the illusion might be a little bit of a harsh word because I do know that there's a lot of good things that have come out of payouts from insurance policies. People tragically lose loved ones. But when you are a company and someone's simply paying you, it's all green to you. If you simply want to look at how much that the life insurance companies have, it is astronomical, and it's primarily because of term life insurance policies do not pay out. And I kind of equate that to what the futures are. So when it comes to a season that's about to start, you can have regular season wins, you can have who's going to win the MVP, who's going to have the most amount of points. There's essentially literally nothing that you can't wager on in terms of what's going to happen throughout the course of a season. Now, let's just look at what's going on right now. Okay, so before the season starts, right now, to win the MVP, Luka is the odds-on favorite, plus 400. Joel Embiid is plus 700. Giannis is plus 550, plus 600. Durant's at plus 700. Curry plus 900. And LeBron James at plus 1,600. Now, the reason why this is important is because aside from wanting to see what you want to see, wanting to be right, or simply having such a heartfelt attachment to either player or a team that you want to risk your hard-earned money on them being successful, what other reasons are there for having any action on on any futuristic bet, be it a season prop, player prop, where's the advantage? Because you're always one fluke play away from it being over. If you're going to put money down on who's going to be the MVP, Luka could be the MVP for 2 months, pulls a hamstring, hurts his ankle, and misses the next 2 months. The ground that he's going to lose is not going to be... the ground that he's going to lose is going to be too much for him to overcome. And so when I say, that the casinos and the sports books, they have those big hotels and huge casinos for a reason, a lot of it is the futures market. And it was a brilliant psychological strategy. I mean, I guess it's really just allowing people to wager on what they want to wager on. But yeah, I mean, when you look at it from a psychological perspective, to allow someone to not only predict the future, but also try to predict 9 months of it, what a strategy to get more money in. And that's why I've always equated it to the life insurance racket, because 99% of every futures wager does not pay out. There's only one MVP. There's 2 teams that make it to the finals. If you want to do team totals, which is what we're going to look at here in a minute, okay, that's going to be something that's going to be more in a controlled environment. So much of the futures market is outside of everybody's control. And it's so tempting because you want to think that Trae Young at plus 2,000 is a good value bet. I think LeBron James is the greatest player on earth. He is. I don't think he is. And when you have the greatest player on earth at plus 1,600, pretty good value to me. You know what else I see? I see Jimmy Butler at plus 5,000. I see Bradley Beal, who might lead the league in scoring again, at plus 6,500. And so that's the psychological test that the futures put on us as sports wagerers, is that we want to think that we are so good at this that we can actually overlook possible injuries, sickness, COVID, freak accidents, a tweaked ankle, anything. And so when you think about it, aside from season wins, player props, season props, scoring title, assists per game, rebounds per game, the list goes on and on and on. 99% of those wagers are not going to pay out. And that's why they have so much money. So if you feel it necessary, have at it. I would think that something more along the lines of season win totals would be something more within the realm of control, or have some sort of feeling of control on it. For instance, Coach of the Year. In my opinion, Nate McMillan in Atlanta at plus 1,400 would be the only pick that I would do, because of all of the steam and all of the headway that he made last year. That a lot of the voters, which is a whole other issue, they will look at what he did when he took over, which was amazing. And what if they're the 4 seed in the East, the 3 seed, the 5 maybe? They're going to really look at him like, wow, I mean, look at what happened from last year. There's always a carryover effect with Coach of the Year, in my opinion. And so that would be something that if you really want to, you can do it. Defensive Player of the Year, I guess I'd look at Draymond Green at plus 2,000. Bam Adebayo plus 400, or as Kendrick Perkins likes to say, Bam out of the Bayou plus 1,400. Most improved player, Rookie of the Year. I mean, I guess I'd look at Davion Mitchell plus 1,800. Sixth man, someone. And then here's what's unreal: 2022 NBA Finals exact outcome. So meaning, if you pick these 2 teams to make it, that's going to be what you win. And just a really random one that's just going to be wouldn't happen. The Cavaliers to beat the Mavericks right now, it's plus 750,000. And so you risk 100 to win 750 grand. And the reason why they even have them out there is because someone's going to bet it. And whether it's $1, whether it's $5, whether it's $10, you're just funding. That's all you're doing with these. So if you are someone who has tried the futures, let's try something else, because I guarantee, I can't guarantee it, but it's very hard to make anything consistent in this with that. It's just there's so many variables that happen throughout the season. And so what I'm doing right now, I'm taking a look at the season win totals of each team. Hawks 46.5. It's minus 160 on the over. So the Nets are the number one team, 56.5. And the over and the under is minus 115 each. So, boy, that just seems high. Chicago, yep, over is 42.5, and it's at minus 160. Golden State, 48.5. I kind of like them over that. I do like them over that. With Clay returning, and granted, if everyone stays healthy, then yes, that would be something. I think so. The Lakers are 51.5. The juice is pretty heavy though on the over. So, but I do know that they do not want to get caught up in the same thing that happened last year when they had to play in the play-in game. And I do think that this is the year where LeBron kind of says, "All right, we're just going to kind of take over control here, and we're gonna do what we need to do." So that's a good lean for the over. Granted, everyone stays healthy. Miami 48.5. Ooh, I like that actually. I think Kyle Lowry is going to be a really good addition there, and right now you got pretty good juice. Over 48.5 is minus 105. I would take a look at that. Orlando 22.5. I might lean on the under with that one. Oh man, yeah, that's God, they're gonna be bad. I just don't see anybody on there. 28.5 for the Spurs. Rule one. And if anyone's ever had any history with this, you know what I mean. Rule one of sports gambling in the NBA: never bet against the Spurs. It sucks every single time. It seems like every damn time. So what I think a lot of people kind of fall into the trap of is they want to have we tend, with the psychology of it, we tend to wager what we want to see, not what we think will happen. But we can't think that an injury will happen. We can't think that half a team will get sick. We can't think of all of these just outrageous variables that could happen. And so that's why I tend to just stay away. You will rarely find me with any future bet at all. At all. The only one of recent memory that I had was I literally don't remember any future bet that I ever hit because I just don't trust it. I don't trust that everyone's going to be healthy. I don't trust that someone's not going to get nicked up and miss a couple games and really throw off all of what could be a really good season. The reason why I'm such a huge supporter of this team was because of their chemistry. From player 1 to 9, everyone knew their role. Everybody shared the ball, and it was the most beautiful form of the sport that I had ever seen. And that's why when it comes to the NBA and wagering, technically, I don't really even look at the NBA until Thanksgiving, because what do we know? What do we know? What do we know about chemistry? What do we know about matchups? What do we know about how any team is going to work within itself? What do we know about the rotations? We don't know anything. And that's why I generally don't have action for the first month. Now, on the other side, I see people's argument when they say, well, someone's got to cover those spreads. That's true. I mean, someone's got to win these games and someone's going to win by a certain amount. So if you want to try your hand at literally blindly throwing darts and get lucky, hey man, I'm rooting for you. I am always rooting for you guys to win. I don't care how you win. I want you to feel the things that I've felt over the years, because there's no greater feeling. There truly isn't. When you're on a hot streak and you're picking winners and it's fun and it's lively and it's the epitome of what you want to be and what you want to feel as a sports fan. And that's truly a unique thing. Now, I know coming from someone like me who has zero allegiances to any teams at all, the only allegiances I have to teams are who can make me money. I truly do not care anywhere else. Raised in the Minneapolis area, got a lot of ties to Chicago, couldn't give two fucks about either of those cities' teams. And if you want to talk about the most inept franchises, we can talk about all of them in Minnesota. And Chicago, I mean, because of the hockey team, I mean, Cubs, we really don't have to go too far back to understand how cursed they were. Outside of Jordan, what have the Bulls really been? And I'm going out there and I'm going to say this, hands down, that and this and the 2008 Celtics, the 1985 Chicago Bears, is the most overrated, overused. I never knew that one team winning one championship against a league, against a team, the New England Patriots. I mean, if that's the best that the AFC had in 1985, that's pathetic. But it is hands down the most overrated championship of all time, except for the 2008 Celtics, which somehow some sports fans became enamored with them as some kind of a dynasty. And even though they were the first one to even develop a big three and trade for that, everybody gave LeBron and the Heat shit for what they did, even though they were just responding to what. It doesn't matter. 2008 Celtics, 1985 Chicago Bears, most overrated championships of all time, hands down. And so when I say that I don't have any allegiances, I do. It's to teams that are profitable. It's to teams that are covering. Goes back to my favorite saying on earth: good teams win, great teams cover. But it's just, this is so hard. It's so, there's always something that makes this extremely challenging. And it's often extremely odd. For instance, right now, and I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm in such a good mood today from last night's game and the NBA start, and I'm just in such a good mood. So, a microcosm of sports gambling, look no further than this current year's Oregon Ducks college football team. They are 5-1, and I believe they're ranked like 8th now, something like that. They are 1-5 against the spread, and the only cover they have this year is against a team that had covered the previous 9 times that these two teams have played. Owned them. They have not covered against anybody outside of Ohio State at an early kickoff for the West Coast. Like, what? That's what's been so fun about this year. That's what's been so challenging about this year. Now, going back to the NBA real quick, one of the stats that I've always liked, and it's always helped me, is team free throw percentage. Every home team, if the two teams are even and it's a coin flip, is going to get 4 points. So like 3 points at home for football, 4 points at home for basketball. You know what? I was going to say just for the NBA, but it's pretty universal for college hoops as well. So anything that is 4 points is a coin flip. And so generally speaking, if you can get a road team at 4, you're technically getting them at even because they're, in the eyes of the casino, they're even. Those two teams are even. They're just giving them 4 points because it's home. And for tonight, Milwaukee's a 1-point favorite at home, so that should tell you that a lot of the books think that the Nets are the superior team. I don't think it takes that much to... that's not that far of a stretch. It's minus 110 on each of the spreads. I do know that last year, the Nets were a juggernaut in the over. The over-under right now is 233. That's a lot. I would say if you want to have action in the first couple weeks, look at the unders. Teams, it's kind of the same thing in football to an extent, but at the end of the day, it's really just a crapshoot overall. But what I've seen that's helped me in the past is it takes longer for the offense to catch up with the defense. I mean, especially when it comes to this, because in the NBA, there are so many defensive strategies, there's so many defensive lineups, there's so many defensive rotations that teams can do. It makes it very tough for the beginning. But then again, the Nets might go ahead and drop 150 tonight. So, shows just how fun and hard this actually is. The Lakers are 3.5 at home. So, they are saying that this is pretty much a coin flip between the Warriors. And that game, I mean, if Steph's playing LeBron, I'm in. That's just that's a game that I will watch. And as we look at the spreads for tomorrow's games, Detroit's a 4-point underdog at home against Chicago. Charlotte -2 against Indiana at home. Knicks -2 against the Celtics at home. Raptors -2 against the Wizards at home. Jeez. So a lot of East Coast, a lot of Eastern Conference that the sportsbooks are saying these are so even they don't really even know what to do with. Memphis -7.5 against Cleveland. I might look at that one actually. Timberwolves -5 against the Rockets. I mean, I don't think the Timberwolves should be favored by 5 against anybody. New Orleans +3 at home against the Sixers. Tomorrow or later on this week, I'm definitely going to gather my thoughts and share them about Mr. Ben Simmons. Still hasn't met a shot that he didn't love. Or still hasn't met a shot that he liked. Doesn't like to take shots. Tomorrow, the San Antonio Spurs are 6-point favorites against the Orlando Magic. Utah at 12, Oklahoma City. Fun fact, Oklahoma City was the number 1 team against the spread last year because they were heavy underdogs in almost every game, and they would always find a way to cover. Suns at 6 over the Nuggets. Hey, Suns in 4. Suns. How did that guy not get arrested for assault too? By the way, I hope everyone, the other guys too. Portland 5, and they also opened up the games on Thursday. Interesting. So, if you are going to have any action tonight, good luck with your bets. And I hope the analogy between the futures market and the life insurance world was useful. It's just a real-world illustration of how this works because truly 99% of all futures wagers do not pay out. But all that being said, if you like something in the future, go for it. Good luck with your bets.